Is it recording? Yes, it is. Okay. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to ETeeskiTutorials, and this is au3. So, I tried answering some of your recent questions from my itouch, but from my itouch, YouTube just gets pretty screwy and doesn't let me answer your questions. So I figured I'd just respond to all your questions inside of a video. So I have a list over here, so let me get to what I wanted to say. So, first of all, multiplayer. I've gotten tons of requests for multiplayer. I've mentioned this in another video, but I definitely eventually want to get to multiplayer. Probably not in the FPS1 tutorial set, because I want this to be like a simple single-player experience, where eventually I think maybe you might be able to implement it, or implement the multiplayer tutorial into the FPS1 tutorial. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that. But yeah, I am going to eventually make multiplayer tutorials. And then I also have gotten a lot of requests for iPhone and Android tutorials, or iOS or mobile device tutorials. And I actually have published an iPhone game before. It's called Galaxia Interface. It's not currently on the market. Looking back, I mean, that game was so glitchy. Like, if I had to make that game again, I'd probably start from scratch and just start from the beginning, because that game is so glitchy. But anyways, so I have published a game for iPhone before, so I do know a lot about publishing for the iPhone and just mobile devices in general. So I'm really excited that a lot of people have been requesting iPhone and Android tutorials. Because I really want to make some tutorials on that, so I will be doing that too. But before I do multiplayer and iOS and Android tutorials, or maybe I'll do this during it, but I definitely want to make a beginner intro tutorial set that is a lot faster and quicker and easier to jump into. But I want to make a tutorial set for all of the people who have never used Unity before and know nothing about programming and just are starting completely from square one, and so, or maybe they don't even know that Unity exists. I want to make a tutorial set for that, and I want the episodes for that to be a lot quicker, like under 30 minutes, like preferably like 15 to 20 minutes per episode, and maybe only like 20 episodes total. But it's going to be a tutorial set that is going to be extremely quick to get into. So that's my goal, is like for somebody who has never even heard of Unity 3D before, I want them to very quickly and very easily be able to jump in and really get a handle for how Unity 3D works, so that they can catch up to everybody right now who's like going through the FPS1 tutorial set, because that's a little bit more advanced. What else did I want to mention? Oh, so I got a lot of good requests for what to add inside of the FPS1 tutorial set. And first of all, let me go over the ones that I think will make it into the FPS1 tutorial set. So let's see, multiple guns. I do want to eventually, or I think I can make it into FPS1 multiple guns, because not a lot of first-person shooters only let you carry one gun. The only one I can think of is Portal, and that's a huge exception to a normal first-person shooter. So I'm going to try to implement multiple guns into the FPS1. Not exactly sure how I'm going to do that, but I'll figure it out, and I'll try to make it pretty simple and pretty flexible. What else? Melee. Oh wait, no, melee I probably will not be getting to. But hands on your gun model, I will be getting to that. So in my game, I thought it would be really cool to do like a floating gun sort of style where you don't see your hands. I think it's pretty indie, and I think it looks really cool, and I think it makes the animations look really cool, and it really reminds me of the game Rayman. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me show you the poster on my ceiling. There it is. You can see it right there, Rayman. That's the guy I'm talking about. He has like floating hands and floating feet, and I thought that style is really cool, and it'd be cool to implement inside of a first-person shooter. But I totally understand that a lot of people want to put hands on their gun model. That also looks really cool and really realistic. So I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to create an array list of all of the different models in your gun, so you can turn the different parts on and off. So I'm going to try to make it really flexible so that if you wanted, you could just have two different models, like one model for on the ground and one model for the gun that you're holding that has hands on it, or you can just turn the hands on and off. So I'm going to try to make a tutorial on that. What else? There was footsteps. I will probably get a tutorial on footsteps. I'm pretty sure that shouldn't be too hard. It should just be a matter of having a sound effect that loops over and over again, and just turn the volume up and down as you're speeding up and slowing down. That might work. I'm going to have to experiment with that and see what works best. But yeah, I'll probably do a tutorial on that, and you know what, hell, I'll do a tutorial on Melee. That shouldn't be too hard. That should just be a matter of doing an animation and then something similar to the collision detection sphere, or maybe I'll do a sphere cast or a ray cast and just add damage to the enemy that way. I mean, honestly, maybe you could just do a really, really short bullet, like a bullet that only goes, you know, 2 feet or something, and then you could do melees that way. So I'll try to implement a tutorial on melees. What else? Oh, people have asked me if I have done any modeling, or if I could do some modeling tutorials. I will eventually get to some modeling tutorials, some simple ones. There's already tons and tons of modeling tutorials out there on YouTube, and I'm really much more of a programmer than a modeler, or I mean a programmer than an artist. I mean, I can still do modeling and animation, and I do know a little bit about it, and I made a few games before where I did all the modeling. So I'm definitely going to do a tutorial on modeling, and I'm thinking I'm going to use a program called Wings 3D, which is a free program. It's really easy to jump into. It's not the most powerful program. Like, you can't do bones, you can't, I don't know, there's a lot of things you can't do. But you can create very simple low poly models, which is something that I really like, and I think it allows for creativity because you really think about the vertices and the lines. But I mean, I'd say, like, if you want a professional program that's still free, I'd go with something like Blender, because Blender has tons and tons of tools. My only problem with Blender is it's a lot harder to jump into than Wings 3D. Plus, there's already a lot of really great tutorials out there on Blender. One of my favorites that I found is a guy called Blender Guru. He's on YouTube. He has, you know, tons and tons of subscribers and views, and he's really good at making tutorials. The one thing about Blender Guru is that most of his tutorials are based on, like, pre-rendered videos as far as 3D goes, and he's really, really great at it, but it's not really targeted towards video games. But I'm sure if you watched his tutorials, you could learn a ton about modeling. So yeah, so I'm still going to do a few modeling tutorials myself. I'll show you guys what I know, but I definitely don't know as much as a guy like Blender Guru. What else? Oh, links to the reference code in the description of the videos. So, I've gotten a lot of requests, like when people don't know how to fix their game and they don't know what's going wrong. It's really useful to be able to look directly at my project and compare it against your project to figure out what's going on. So I haven't made a, or I haven't uploaded a copy of my project very often. It's more like every 10 episodes or so. But I put a link to the most recent, the most recent version of the project according to the video that you're currently watching in the description of all of the FPS1 videos. So now it should be a lot easier for you guys to find the reference code and the link to the downloads. What else do I have to say? Oh, there's also been a lot of problems with the, like, if you're shooting your gun inside of FPS1 and you shoot at a weird angle on a wall, for some reason, or not really, well, for some reason it sometimes doesn't show up if you're not shooting at the right angle. And I found there's a couple things wrong with the code that I made. And the first major thing is that the variable max dist inside of the bullet script, that shouldn't have been there. I should have just left that out. Because what I thought it would be a good idea is to just make max dist a really, really big number, so the maximum distance of the ray that it shoots would be really, really long. But it turns out that causes a lot of glitches, and it works so much better if you just leave it by default as infinity. And the way you do that is, if you guys know, I think there's like, I want to say 4 different parts inside of the raycast. There's the origin, the direction, the raycast hit variable that you save it in, and then the distance that you want the ray to go. Now, to just have it default set to infinity, just take away the distance and just leave it blank. Don't even put the comma in there, just leave it blank. If you guys want to know exactly what I'm talking about, you can go onto the script reference and just search, physics.raycast, I believe, and then it'll show you the max dist, or I think it's just called distance, parameter of that function, and you just want to leave it out so that it by default goes to infinity, and then your gunshots are going to be a lot more accurate. Another thing, I'm going to eventually make a tutorial that's just going to revamp the bullet script, also the gun script. I'm going to add a few more features to the gun script, such as like reloading, or like doing an animation in between shots, whether that's like a shotgun pumping or a sniper rifle pulling back the charge handle, something like that. But anyways, I'm going to try to fix the bullet script so that you can also shoot through trigger colliders, because right now there's a problem where if you try to shoot through a trigger collider, your bullet just stops and it doesn't work. So I'm going to try to fix that. And then I also wanted to mention, I know I've mentioned before that I'm making my own version of FPS 1 and then I'm going to be releasing it. And just to avoid confusion, I'm going to be naming that, for right now, codename Project RZ. So Project RZ, I'm going to be working on in between making these tutorials, so that hopefully by the time I'm done making all the tutorials for FPS 1, it won't be too long before I release Project RZ. And then there's going to be a few things inside of Project RZ that I will not, or like, will have not done a tutorial on yet. More like just little things, just to kind of add a little bit of polish to the game. And then if you guys want me to do a tutorial on any of the things that you see inside of Project RZ, you guys will just be able to let me know, and I will, whatever is most in demand, I will make some tutorials for the different things that I made inside of Project RZ, which includes like modeling, I don't know, whatever else I stick in there. What else did I want to say? Oh, so I've gotten tons and tons of requests of really, really cool things that I could add inside of FPS 1. Such as, I don't know, like a duck and cover system. Let's see, I don't know, I've gotten tons of things, but FPS 1 is already at 34 videos, so I kind of want to keep it not too long. I don't want it to go up to like 100 videos or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to still keep all of your requests in mind, and eventually in the future, I can't tell you when, whether that's the near future or far future, but I am going to eventually make an FPS 2, hence why I named this one FPS 1, because I was kind of planning on that from the beginning, that I'd eventually make an FPS 2, where I don't, you know, detailedly explain all my code. I'm going to try to keep it so that, like, if you are a pretty advanced Unity user and you've done FPS 1, you'll be able to watch FPS 2 and just know what I'm talking about, and so I'm going to be kind of going a little bit more faster through FPS 2, going through all the code, because I think all that code's going to be a little bit more advanced. And I'm going to try to make it the code like really advanced and try to make it a really fancy FPS tutorials series. Or I don't know if it's going to be more of a tutorial series or just showing off what I did, but I'm definitely going to be letting you guys know how I did everything inside of that. But yeah, I think that's everything that I wanted to mention. Yeah, that's everything that I wanted to mention. So, until my next episode, I'll see you guys later, and keep making games.